Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, I am normally based in Bolivia, and Bolivia has had a number of very important cooperative, mutually beneficial relationships and projects with China, dating back to the presidency of Evo Morales. When Evo Morales and the movement towards socialism took power in 2006, Evo said that he faced a colonial state and a country which was completely submerged in extreme poverty. And the remnants of that are obviously still visible today. Evo told CGTN in 2018 in an interview, he said, "I trust China very much. We're strategic allies, though Bolivia is small and China is so large. China has always accompanied us in many of our aspirations in the social, cultural, political, and economic spheres. This is why we have unique trust in the People's Republic of China." He said that during his visit, he was to China, he was discussing investment and credit and signing agreements in the order to export coffee, quinoa, soybeans, meat, and other organic and healthy food products. And he said that, you know, this goes hand in hand with the country's struggle to eradicate extreme poverty and their aims to work towards equality. In partnership with China, only after Evo Morales came to power in 2006, China began an important player with investments in lithium. A very important part of the Bolivian economy is Bolivia's uni lithium reserves, but also with roads and a state sugar company and other major, other important sectors and projects where we live in the Tropico of Cochabamba. It's a large, vast rural area. We're about 5 hours away from the nearest city. And there right now currently is a China-Bolivia infrastructural highway building project. And it is absolutely massive. This will take our travel time from 5 hours, reducing it to 2 hours. And I don't know how it would be possible to build such a road in such a small amount of time without that assistance of China, and something that we hope to be able to report on the ground on those developments as that highway is constructed. Evo also works with China to build a satellite called the Tupac Katari satellite, which is named after an indigenous leader in Bolivia who fought the Spanish Empire. And without that expertise to be able to launch a rocket into space, to have a satellite up there, we wouldn't have had the connection to internet and phone signal in all corners of the country that Bolivia has now. And of course, China has also provided billion-dollar loans to Bolivia. Now, under the current president, Luis Arce, he has retaken the path after the restoration of democracy following the 2019 year-long coup. Now Bolivia is retaking the path of industrialization, industrializing Bolivia's natural resources, upon which all of these great important poverty alleviation works were built. This is of course key because Bolivia's economic model, since the movement towards socialism took national power, since the popular sectors, the working class took power when Evo Morales came, has been to nationalize resources, take control of natural resources, industrialize them, and profit from them in order to reinvest in social programs. And this has reached every corner of the fruits of that have reached every corner through the redistributive policies of the socialist government. Arce himself was a member of a Marxist group before coming to Evo's government, and he's remarked on the similarities between China and Bolivia, and that Mao, like Evo, came from a rural area, and the revolution came from the countryside to the city. Another country that I report a lot on is Venezuela. And China has been key in defying the US illegal sanctions, which are unilateral coercive sanctions by the United States, which are aimed at suffocating and killing the Venezuelan people. So China has had the role of buying oil and providing the country with vital resources to fight the pandemic. Since COVID-19 arrived in South America. And just the very act of continuing to trade with Venezuela has been an invaluable contribution to poverty alleviation, because it's because of the death and starvation sanctions imposed by Washington that the popular sectors, the poor people in Venezuela, are suffering so much under the blockade. And of course, the same goes for Cuba under the decades-long US blockade on Cuba, which was struck down by overwhelming majority in the United Nations in a vote on the same resolution, in which, of course, China pronounced itself, its ambassador in the UN pronounced itself in support of the lifting of that blockade on Cuba. Let's see. So, China continues to cooperate with Venezuela against the illegality of these US unilateral coercive measures. And this is despite the fact that it's so difficult to engage in a country like Venezuela with all of the complications involved. And Venezuela is a country which has historically relied on its oil revenue and had not, according to President Nicolas Maduro, had not exported a single barrel of oil for 14 months because of the sanctions. But despite that, China has continued to seek ways to resume purchase and shipments of crude oil and fuel, which contributes to the Bolivarian nation's aims to restore this vital source of income from the state. And it's notable and important that both the countries that are aligned with Venezuela and those which have surrendered their sovereignty to the United States are both able to trade and cooperate and build and participate in investment projects and benefit from Chinese expertise and more without discrimination. China has in no way said that, these are political or geopolitically strategic allies or any such thing like that. They have been seen present throughout the continent. Colombia and Brazil are two of the most important US allies in South America, but a Chinese company closed a construction deal to build a subway in Bogota, Colombia in 2019. And China is Brazil's largest trade partner and has major investments in Peru, Brazil, and Ecuador, all of which have been under regimes that are, of course, allied with the United States very closely. I'm currently in El Salvador, where the former leftist president, Salvador Sanchez-Cerén of the FMLN, in 2018 announced that they would break ties with Taiwan and that they would recognize China and that they would be looking for new ways to cooperate with China. A year later, the neoliberal who took power, which is the current president, Nayib Bukele, came into office and he reaffirmed the country's stance to take up different projects with China as well. So in the case of El Salvador, like I said, where I am now, it hasn't mattered whether the government were leftist or rightist, but both have recognized the importance of China's role in supporting development projects. And of course, COVID, in the area of COVID, we can't say enough about the extent to which China has been active here. Like I said, in Venezuela, of course, in Bolivia has been very important. China donated more than $34 million worth of health materials and equipment, and it has supplied vaccines to most Latin American countries, and has also had its scientists, Chinese scientists, share their experiences, medical professionals share their experiences with Latin American governments and health teams here. The biggest recipient of Chinese shots have or will be China and Brazil. And we at Kawsachun News, myself and Radio Kawsachun Coca, all of us in Bolivia were vaccinated with the Sinopharm, including myself, when they extended vaccination to journalists. So that was a very important thing that was able to happen only because of Bolivia's cooperation with China. If I was in the US and Canada, I might not have been vaccinated yet. And so I'm just going to wrap up by listing some key areas of cooperation. China and Cuba are working together for the expansion and strengthening of internet in Cuba and cybersecurity. This is crucial. Obviously, the United States uses the lack of internet infrastructure to attack Cuba and to say it's backwards and behind. There are, very many complicated reasons why Cuba has taken this long to get where it is technologically in the area of internet, but it has come very far, and it's coming far with the help of China. China offered its assistance to Venezuela, and of course, President Maduro and the government solicited that assistance in 2018 during the apagones, these massive, historically large-scale blackouts across the country, which were the result of terrorist attacks by a sector of the opposition. China lent its expertise during that period. And a newly opened energy park in Argentina's Jujuy province is now the largest in Latin America. Other energy wind plants in Cuba, Colombia, Chile. Obviously, several Latin American countries are now able to export food to China. And of course, very importantly, rather than exporting military bases and hostile patrolling of the Pacific and Atlantic waters, China is building infrastructure and contributing to the betterment of the situation of citizens of Latin America through cooperation without coercive conditions, through partnerships, and with a policy of non-intervention, and through sharing its expertise and technology. Thanks so much.